Very much, Madam Secretary, and we, without objection, will put your full testimony, written testimony, into the record. We'll begin rounds of questioning now, 7 minutes. I will stop asking questions when my 7 minutes are up, and I'll ask everyone else to do the same so that we can make sure everyone gets a chance to make inquiries that are important to these issues across the country. Let me start with the Klamath Basin. The Klamath Basin in Oregon has experienced many years of drought, a number of worst ever drought years, and it puts enormous stress on the water resources that have declined both with the changing weather patterns and also the loss of less water coming out of the Cascade snowpack. And Congress has provided $162 million in the bipartisan infrastructure law and more than $16 million through the Fish and Wildlife Service for the Klamath Basin, helping to address those issues. But these funds will be funds that will not last forever, and the question is kind of what is the plan to be able to help the basin figure out the path for the future under these difficult circumstances. I really appreciate that a team led by Liz Klein just recently completed a trip to the basin, and your department has convened a number of roundtables with stakeholders. So just what is the status of that $162 million, and how will the funding be distributed, and what is the timeline?
Chairman, thank you so much for the question. And first of all, I think you know how much we all care about the Klamath Basin, and we have people in our department. Liz is one of those, Tanya Trujillo, another, and of course, Camille Tootin, who every single day work on this issue. And there's not enough water, obviously, and that is the incredibly challenging piece of all of that. I thank you for recognizing that we're doing our best to work with partners on the ground. I think it's incredibly important that we are in contact with the people whose lives are affected by this issue. And I just want to assure you that every single day our team is working with partners in the states to evaluate the options for renewing discussions about how to foster the long-term issues moving forward. I think that we will take our cues from folks on the ground and know that our team is dedicated. I wanted to also recognize that the tribal communities are important in this piece as well. You might know that I had a chance to meet with all those folks virtually, and just understand that even though there might be, people don't agree on everything, they agree that they care deeply about this place. So thank you, and we're happy to keep you informed of the progress on this issue as we move forward.
Thank you. I absolutely will follow up, because how we spend that $162 million is going to be so important to the future and success of all the stakeholders in the basin. I want to commend you for your leadership on the Indian Boarding School Initiative. You've embarked on a mission to document a dark chapter in American history. Just fully supportive of these efforts, well, a lot of those schools, a number of them were in Oregon, 10 of those schools, one of which, Chimawa, is still operating but fortunately under very different circumstances from that past. How will the department use the FY22 funding of $7 million to further the efforts for this program?
Thank you very much, Chairman. As you know, we finished our first report on the boarding school initiative. We're working on the second report. We also started a nationwide listening tour, if you will, a healing journey tour. We had the first piece of that this past weekend at the Riverside Indian School in Anadarko, Oklahoma. We will travel to your state, likely, as well as to many states across the country. The second report in the boarding school initiative will just dive deeper into the issues that we raised. And it's largely driven by what the tribes would like us to do as well. So we're keeping close contact with all of that. We appreciate your support. There's more work to do to bring closure and healing to this issue. And so the $7 million, it's going to go toward the healing journey, toward researching and writing the second report and any subsequent reports that would come after that.
Well, I think we're all going to learn a lot from this effort. It's an incredibly important effort. Thank you. Public Law 280 is a nearly 70-year-old law affecting criminal jurisdiction in tribal lands in 6 states, including Oregon. I know that criminal jurisdiction on tribal lands is complicated. The situation for each affected tribe is unique. But essentially, there's 32 tribes across the country that should qualify for funding assistance with their criminal jurisdiction programs that have not been included in the past. And this is profoundly unfair. And I want to draw it to your attention, and I want to advocate that these 32 tribes be treated fairly. And just ask how you might champion appropriate, equal, fair treatment of these tribes that have been excluded, even though they qualify.
Chairman, thank you so much for the question. Of course, justice services, law enforcement in Indian country is a priority for all of us, and I recognize that sometimes it can be difficult given where the tribal communities are located. But safety all across Indian country is a priority for me. We have focused on increasing capacity in areas where we have existing law enforcement programs, growing our missing and murdered unit, and I know you were supportive of that, so thank you. Improving detention and correction centers. We recognize the need to turn our attention to the 32 non-PL 280 tribes like the Cow Creek, who have not had the opportunity to receive direct service law enforcement from the BIA. For tribes in this situation, we're looking at strategies to provide them an opportunity to receive law enforcement funding in a manner that doesn't diminish the level of support for tribes who are in these, who receive the law enforcement services for funding. So it's a good balancing act. But I assure you that we care deeply, and this is an issue that we'll continue to work on. And of course, we're happy to be in touch with you about it.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I appreciate your recognition that those 32 tribes deserve to be included in the program, and we'll work with you in that regard. And let me turn this over to Ranking Member Senator Merkley.